In this video, we're going to talk about phase shift of sine and cosine functions. When we talk about phase shift, we're talking about horizontal shift. And horizontal shift, phase shift is affected by C and a B. So phase shift is equal to negative C over absolute value of B. If phase shift is negative, that means the graph will move to the left. If phase shift is positive, that means the phase shift will cause the graph to move to the right. Let's take a look at some examples. Now, if you want to graph y equals cosine of quantity x plus pi over 4, let's first determine what is a, b, c. A is 1, and b is 1, and c is pi over 4. And you know that there's no number here. D is 0. So what is amplitude? Amplitude is absolute value of A, which is going to be absolute value of 1, which is 1. What about the period? Period is 2 pi over absolute value of B. So in this case, it's going to be 2 pi over absolute value of 1, which is 2 pi. Now what about phase shift? Phase shift is going to be negative C over absolute value of B, which is negative pi over 4 absolute value of 1, which is going to be negative pi over 4. So this means that compared to graph of cosine of x, this will cause the graph to shift to the left. How much? It's going to go to the left pi over 4. So in order to sketch this, let's try to first sketch y equals cosine of x. Since the period is 2 pi, let's divide everything by 4. So you get 0, pi over 2, pi, 3 pi over 2, and 2 pi. So this is a cosine, so amplitude is 1. So you start from here, you go down to the middle, you go down to the bottom, back to middle, and to the top. So this is a graph of y equals cosine x. However, our goal is to graph y equals cosine of quantity x plus pi over 4. And you have a horizontal shift, which is negative pi over 4. What you want to do is you need to find new values. So let's find 0 minus pi over 4, which is negative pi over 4. Now, the next value is pi over 2 minus pi over 4, which is going to be pi over 2 is the same thing as 2 pi over 4. And when you subtract, you're going to get pi over 4. And then you have pi, so pi minus pi over 4. This is going to be 4 pi over 4 minus pi over 4, which is 3 pi over 4. And we got 3 pi over 2 minus pi over 4, which is going to be 6 pi over 4 minus pi over 4. That's 5 pi over 4. And finally, we have 2 pi minus pi over 4, which is going to be 8 pi over 4 minus pi over 4. That's 7 pi over 4. So these are going to be our new x values after phase shift. So what I want to do is now, since the denominator is 4, I want to change all the denominators of 4. So I change that to 2 pi over 4, 4 pi over 4, 6 pi over 4, 8 pi over 4. Now, since everything is moving to the left, pi over 4, we need to plot negative pi over 4, and then pi over 4, 3 pi over 4, 5 pi over 4, finally 7 pi over 4. So this point will end up over here because it's shifting to the left. And that point will end up over here. And this one over here. And that one over here. And finally this one will be over here. So y equals cosine of x plus pi over 4 will end up looking like this. So whenever you want to show the graph of y equals cosine of x plus pi over 4, the final graph, you need to show me how you got the new values. And show me the graph of the draft, and the final graph. So we have y equals sine of quantity 3x minus pi over 2. And what is A? A is going to be 1. B is 3. Now C is going to be negative pi over 2. And of course D is 0. So what is the amplitude? Amplitude is absolute value of 1, which is 1, period. Period is going to be 2 pi divided by absolute value of 3, which is 2 pi over 3. What about phase shift? Phase shift is going to be negative c, which is negative pi over 2 divided by absolute value of b. So this is going to be positive pi over 2 divided by 3, which is going to be pi over 6. Now, in order to graph this, you first need to graph y equals sine of 3x. Because these two will look very similar, just that this one will have a phase shift. Since a phase shift is positive, this will, compared to this graph, this will move to the right. So now what is the period of that? Period is 2 pi over 3. So we need to divide 2 pi over 3 divided by 4, which is the same thing as 2 pi over 3 times 1 over 4. So you get pi over 6. So that means in order to graph this, you go 0, pi over 6, 2 pi over 6, 3 pi over 6, and 4 pi over 6. And amplitude is 1, so you go all the way up to 1, and then you go down to negative 1. This is sine, so you start from the middle, top, middle, bottom, and then middle. So let's draw a dotted line because this is a draft to get to the final curve that we want. Now we need to find new values of x to graph the sine of quantity 3x minus pi over 2. So how are we going to get the new values? Well, it's going to be 0 plus pi over 6, which is going to be pi over 6, and pi over 6 plus pi over 6, which is 2 pi over 6, and 2 pi over 6 plus pi over 6, which is 3 pi over 6, and 3 pi over 6 plus pi over 6, which is 4 pi over 6, and then finally 4 pi over 6 plus pi over 6, which will be 5 pi over 6. So we need 5 key points. This point will end up over here because we have 5 pi over 6, 2 pi over 6, 3 pi over 6, 4 pi over 6, and 5 pi over 6. This point ends up over here, and that point will end up at 2 pi over 6. This point will end up at 3 pi over 6. And this will end up at 4 pi over 6. And finally, we need a point at 5 pi over 6. So let's draw a nice smooth curve using 5 key points. So this is a graph of y equals sine of 3x minus quantity 3x minus pi over 2. Again, compared to y equals sine of 3x, this graph shifted to the right because phase shift was positive. Okay, what about y equals 3 sine quantity of 2x minus pi over 3? How are you going to graph this? Let's first identify A is 3, B is 2, C is negative pi over 3, and D is 0. So what is the amplitude? Amplitude is going to be absolute value of 3, which is 3. What about period? Period is going to be 2 pi divided by absolute value of 2, which is pi. What about phase shift? Phase shift is going to be negative times C divided by absolute value of B. So this is going to be pi over 3 divided by 2, which is pi over 6. So again, if you want to graph this, we first need to sketch 3 sine of 2x. Because this will have a horizontal shift to the right compared to this graph. So since the period is pi, let's divide pi by 4, and you get pi over 4. So in order to sketch this, we start from 0, pi over 4, 2 pi over 4, 3 pi over 4, and 4 pi over 4. So since this, now amplitude is 3, so you go 1, 2, 3. You go down negative 1, negative 2, negative 3. You start from middle, top, middle, and then bottom, and then middle. So this is a graph of y equals 3 sine of 2x. Now our goal is to graph this one right here. That means we're going to have a phase shift to the right, pi over 6. So we need to find new x values. In order to find the new x value, you go 0 plus pi over 6, which is going to be pi over 6. And pi over 4 plus pi over 6. So this is going to be, the common denominator is 12. So 3 pi over 12 plus 2 pi over 12, which is going to be 5 pi over 12. And next value is going to be 2 pi over 4 plus pi over 6. Again, common denominator is 12. So this is going to be 6 pi over 12 plus 2 pi over 12, which is 8 pi over 12. And then we need to find 3 pi over 4 plus pi over 6, which is 9 pi over 12 plus 2 pi over 12. That's 11 pi over 12. And then finally, 4 pi over 4 plus pi over 6. That's going to be 12 pi over 12 plus 2 pi over 12. And that is 14 pi over 12. Let's make pi over 6 as 2 pi over 12. Since all the values as a denominator as 12, I like to change these values with the denominator of 12 as well. So using our new values, 2 pi over 12, 5 pi over 12, 8 pi over 12, 11 pi over 12, 14 pi over 12, we could find 5 key points. So 2 pi over 12 is over here. And then 5 pi over 2 is over here. And then 8 pi over 12 is over here. 11 pi over 12 is over here. And then finally, 14 pi over 12 is approximately over here. Because we're going to have a shift to the right. So this point ends up over here. And that point ends up over here. And this point will end up over here. And this point will end up over here. And this point will end up over here. Because you have a horizontal shift to the right. So now you draw a nice smooth curve. Okay, you could do a better job than I did, but you get the idea. So this is the graph of y equals 3 sine of quantity 2x minus pi over 3.